All right, we're live.
We're live.
We're live.
Episode 5.
Need to watch.
Episode 5 of the Lake and Link
5.
podcast. Thanks for joining us again as we talk about kind of whatever's going on.
Yeah.
You know,
Oh, yeah.
centered on hobbies and sort of nerdy interests. I'm Derek.
I'm Robbie.
In case it's your first time here.
Yeah.
And
Would love it if it was.
yeah. Welcome back.
Yeah. Every week we kind of go over, our personal, since we've seen each other, what we've been doing throughout the week, what news we see, and then we like to get together and just talk nerdy stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah. No. And it is, as of filming, October of 2025. So we've been talking about a lot of fall things. And I know that's informed a little bit of our conversation up to this point. But overall,
even spooky stuff. It's like last episode. If you've listened to that, we're trying to keep it in the fall theme at least for these last couple weeks of October.
But yeah, otherwise, we usually start by talking about some things that have happened recently in the news, and we will end up recommending or just talking about some things that we would recommend to someone. But aside from that, I can't think of anything else before we get into the topics this week.
Yeah, no, I say we just go for it.
All right, you want to start?
Yeah, I'll start us off. So, if you've heard from last episodes, I have to bring up the Pokemon ZA Legendia. What did you call it?
Well, it's Pokemon Legends ZA. So Pokemon Legends.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, that officially launched last week. It was after we filmed our last episode.
Mm-hmm.
So we haven't officially talked about it. I don't have too much on it, but
To be clear, neither of us have purchased or played this game.
Not purchased it.
So,
and I think that's a statement in and of itself.
Well, I say that just to make clear that when I speak, I am hating from outside the club. You know what I mean? Like, yes. I'm not, I haven't invested as of yet into this.
Yeah. I've just, again, it definitely gives it is a Legends game now. I guess that's something that they're coining, and they're doing a series of Legends games. I'm not about it. I'm not about it at all. I did not buy it, which is the first time I've not bought a Pokemon game on launch. I guess aside from a couple late high school that I just never ended up buying to begin with or knew about, but I don't know. What have you seen?
I watched one video that was Pokemon Legends ZA review, and in the thumbnail it said it's bad or something in big red letters, and now my YouTube feed, I've not been clicking on these videos, but my YouTube feed is flooded with videos that people are making that are it is unacceptable for Nintendo to release a product in this state. And to be clear,
just like Scarlet and Violet, pretty much.
I'm sure that there is a very monetizable outrage cycle associated with that, so I don't want to lend too much to that. But what I will say is, I just realized, and I don't remember if we talked about it a little bit last week, but you can only go into 3 buildings in this thing. Otherwise, it is outdoors. They have battle cafes, but it is you are moving within the streets of the city. You can't go in any buildings. You can climb up buildings, but you're not able to go inside. Which to me, it really gives why would I spend $80 on this game? It feels really limited in terms of what even a Pokemon game could typically do, and it looks cool. To be clear, I really like the concept of just free roaming with your Pokemon, and even integrating a more modern Final Fantasy games where they have turn-based combat, but it is active. Things are happening, and you have to pay attention to cooldowns too. I think that's a cool battle system to scratch at with Pokemon, but it just kind of seems like they weren't ready. Maybe for this level, and I'm sure they're gonna figure it out. But
I don't know. I can't imagine the story's that great. I mean, I don't know. Maybe it is. I haven't seen or played it myself, but I don't know. I also just randomly had this thought that could be a hot take. I don't know about this. About this in particular, but some newer games. And granted, I know that Pokemon is an anime. But I feel especially with how popular it got in America, the United States of America, it's almost caught in this limbo of it's kind of like most kids growing up that watch Pokemon some of them did not watch animes or even know what an anime was, and they didn't know they were watching an anime. That's how like, non-anime I would consider Pokemon, compared to some other animes. And I feel like you get some of those anime elements now in some of these newer games. Like I've seen kind of like the villains and like how they, either incorporate the stories or make the villains or just some of the main characters. But it feels like this weird caught in the middle. Like either go full anime and like make it more anime or don't make it like that. I don't know. I feel like that's how I personally feel. Again, I am not an anime expert, but I kind of get that feeling when I saw the villains of this game. I was like, it felt like it didn't fit. Like the overall game needs to feel more anime-esque to me if you're going to do that.
I can see that, and I think honestly, like for this, it doesn't really seem like the story, which within the realm of Pokemon games, I feel like is so, even if it's formulaic, like they wrote the Bible on that, right? Like that feels like such a big part of all those games, and this one markedly, and I would say for Pokemon Legends, Arceus as well, it doesn't feel like story is what they want. That's not what they're waving in your face to get you to buy this game. They're getting, it's more so for the immersion and more so for the, like, I get to run around with, like, a Blastoise running behind me because that's what I've dreamed of since I was a child or whatever it is. And, like,
like the new battle system, like you said,
I think there's also I saw a TikTok, and I don't think, I'm not actually citing anything here, but this is just like what this person said in this video, and it's a source that I think I trust. But I think this game cost like $300,000 to make or something, which in the realm of like
what? That sounds cheap.
Like in terms of development, because obviously the games would be in the millions, like in terms of especially like a AAA studio. But like this person, again, take that number with a grain of salt. But like the larger point in the video was like, Pokemon as a brand is so interesting because whereas I think to you and I, the games feel like what this is all about, like in like a market sense, the games really just exist to like reset and open a new thing, and then
like further the media conglomerate that is Pokemon,
because then the plushes have to be made, right? And then all of the merchandise and all of the in-game transactions now and DLC, but like there are so many vectors that Pokemon is present in, apparel even,
I bought these Pokemon things.
We are not immune to their wider marketing, but like the games don't necessarily have to be the big thing, and like,
which is hurting it. Or hurting, I guess, consumers' experience with it. I also think the success they had with Pokemon Go. I think you can directly see that with the new battle system.
That was where it all went wrong.
Because have you ever played Pokemon Go, and have you ever like battled people or gyms or whatever?
I was walking around my neighborhood that fateful summer.
So you know how it's very much like you're just trying to attack as quick as possible, sort of thing. I don't know. I think one of Pokemon's strengths is that it's still a turn-based game. Like people enjoy turn-based games. But again, like I said last time, it's almost like kids don't have the attention span anymore to like sit down through a turn-based and like slower game. So they're like, all right, battling is now zip, zip, zap, and just like constant, like, it's constantly tapping the screen or moving. You got to move your guy, or, you got to like the cooldowns with the moves are like the same way. And I don't know. And again, I could be an old grumpy old man. I guess with Pokemon years, we are old grumpy men
for sure
compared to like a 10-year-old picking up this game.
I remember, I remember taking like Sapphire home or whatever. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like
I remember
we've been there.
My parents got me Blue when I was like very young. Like I didn't even ask for it, or I might have. Maybe in the store. I just don't remember. So I was like very young.
You saw one commercial and you said, "I need this,"
or even just the thing in the store, right? The little like cutout at the end of the aisle, and be like, "I want that." But Silver, I remember getting Silver, and that was like, game changing. But yeah, I don't know. It's one of those things where, either, and I guess, is this a spinoff now? Or not?
I mean, yeah.
Because they used to come out, I guess, no,
this is not
Yeah.
the new game. Like, this is not like...
Yeah, it's not like Gen 10 or anything.
No,
yeah, it's like a
no,
spin-off.
no.
Yeah, so... Yeah, I don't know. I might just be a grumpy old man. I think that might be
Hey.
what it is. It just doesn't feel like Pokemon. It doesn't feel like a Pokemon spin-off, even though it is. Because they're still doing like, oh, you have 3 starters, and like you're gonna battle and like catch Pokemon, and like it's like very different from Ranger or the Coliseum games, or Gale of Darkness or Stadium, or what's it, Red Rescue Team, like all the rescue
Ranger.
team, yeah, all that. It doesn't feel like one of those, so I don't know. I'm not buying it. I'm not even gonna consider buying it until next year.
Yeah.
Might not ever buy it. I don't know.
Hey, you had a really negative time with Scarlet and Violet, you said,
Yes,
right? Like, that was like borderline unplayable
both
too.
Scarlet and I bought Legends of Arceus. Both of those I maybe put 3 hours into, and I was like, I can't do this.
I liked Arceus conceptually, I think, because you're making like the first Pokédex, right? Like, you're part of the development of like a very early thing, and like that's where. And I didn't play it. I watched Adam, my partner, play it, but like I feel like there's a again, like, give me a twist, give me something fun. This really just does kind of seem like a what's the word I'm looking for? Like an exploratory, like, it feels like something that low key should be free. And I think that's where where I'm like, ooh, we're like putting this out as a
phone game.
And
which is Pokemon Go.
And it's cool to see. It's cool to see these Pokemon and some of the features for sure. But like, nothing that I've seen has been like, oh my god, like I gotta
grab this.
I have to get this game. It really seems like, again, like it should be free. So the fact that we're paying, and then I don't even think there's like is it online, or is there like a social element to it?
I'm sure there is. I mean, they did with both Violet and Sword and Shield and all that. You have like online, so you can battle people or trade Pokemon, like that kind of stuff. So which is cool. Like, again, I'll go on record that a new game that I liked was Sword. I got Sword and I liked it.
Yeah.
No, not the best Pokemon game in the world, but I played that start to finish and enjoyed myself. Right.
Yeah. It didn't like really drag for you to the point where you couldn't.
No, yeah, I fully enjoyed it. But then like Legends Arceus, I only got so many hours in, and it was, like you said, it was cool to go out and explore and like, kind of like go find Pokemon. I'm like, what's over there? What's over here? Oh, this looks different on the map. Like, let's see what kind of Pokemon are near the mountain. Like, that's very cool. And, that's like a huge part of Pokemon, because different routes in the games. Like, if you're in water, you're going to find water Pokemon, right? But you get 3 hours into that, and you're just like, at this point, I'm playing Pokemon Go. I'm running around, and you're throwing the ball. You're not even battling them. You just sneak up behind them and throw a ball. It's like kind of the point of like in Pokemon Go, where you just go down the street and find a Pokemon at the restaurant down the road and just throw a ball, and it's like, like how eventually you're gonna get bored of that.
When I reflect on the early Pokemon games, I think about it really was masterful early on, and it was before the formula was laid out. But like, I'm thinking up through like Diamond and Pearl at least. You would have, obviously, I'm a kid, get my Pokemon, go out on this adventure. Gym badges are a thing in this world, so I really want to get all the gym badges and challenge the champion. But also, like, especially like Red and Green, like there was like an active like threat brewing of Team Rocket that culminated in like, wasn't like the 8th gym leader was Giovanni of Team Rocket, and like that's stuff that really stands out in my brain. And I just can't think of like anything. Again, I haven't really been playing. I've been watching people play Pokemon, so I'm hating from outside the club. But it doesn't seem like there is as much of a like commitment to a really satisfying. That's not the priority. The priority has shifted to collection - Pokemon Go style thing, and that's what this really feels. I think that's why this really feels like.
No, I agree. I think now that we're kind of talking about it, I think I can sum it up as the original games aren't like complex.
No,
they aren't when it comes to like game creation, right? They weren't like groundbreaking, when it comes to like tech and like you make a new game and it's like, like certain games are like that. You're like, wow, this is changing the mold, right? This is now changing the rest, like how we do video games. They weren't groundbreaking. It was just, a really good game for people our age at that time to play, and it like instantly became like a cult classic, I guess you could say, right? And the frustrating part now is we have the ability, because I think you're kind of dampened by whatever tech of your time, right? Yeah. So like there's only so much you can do on a Game Boy, right? So it's gonna be pretty simplistic, at the end of the day. But with what we have now,
yeah,
and Pokemon I'm pretty sure it's the biggest IP in the world, right?
I mean, if
like entertainment
it's top
IP,
3,
it's bigger than Disney.
Yeah.
Like it's I'm almost positive, like by sales, it's number 1. I think.
I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah, or it's up there, or maybe some years it ebbs and flows. I don't know, but you're telling me it's one of the biggest things in the world, and we have the tech to do Breath of the Wild, Legends of Zelda type stuff, and we're still getting like this like shit. That to me, I think, is the most frustrating part. That's what sums it up. They need to do, it's so easy. All you got to do is hop on a Reddit forum, a Reddit post. You just pick any of them from the bunch, and it's so easy to just like do what we want you to do.
Yeah.
Like make a cool game. And they just won't. So I don't know. And like you said, it's about money. It's about selling the plushes. We got to get microtransactions on Pokemon Go, and like yeah. So I don't know. We'll see. They're doing the bare minimum, and you're the like number 1 IP, entertainment IP.
Yeah.
Can't be doing the bare minimum. Like you could do so many cool things, and they're just not.
They got to do better. I mean, maybe my last question on this, but like, do you feel like you are hotly anticipating what is to come with, what is it, Generation 10? Because it
would be 10. Yeah, no, I'm not. That's the thing. I mean, what's going to have to happen now? I think we've been led on so much to the point where it's like I'm not holding my breath anymore. The news, or like the drop of a good game is now just going to have to come to me, I think.
Yeah.
I think what's going to happen is if it's good and they hit it out of the park with whatever some new game they make, I'm sure it'll hit my desk. I need to just stop worrying about like, oh, like I hope, because at the end of the day, we've so many years of like, oh man, they should really do this, they should really do that, and it's like, how many times are we just gonna sit here and hope that they do it, not do it? And it's like, I mean, some people even call for like, don't buy the games, because they're like, then that'll send a message to be like, yeah, make a better game. So I'm not necessarily doing it in protest. I mean, maybe it is kind of a protest, but I'm just doing it because I know it's a bad game. So why would I buy it? So that's as plain as simple. So yeah, I don't know. That's my take on that. If you guys listening or watching, again, I think I asked for this last time. If you can give me some sort of, little story or anecdote or anything that makes you have some sort of sympathy for these new games, I'd love to hear it.
Yeah, maybe you like something. Maybe there's something that we're on. Maybe the outrage cycle is working on me, because like I said, I haven't really engaged. Yeah. But like, maybe, I don't know.
Yeah, but yeah. So I don't know. I had to bring it up. But then quickly, I have a hot take. Very quick. We don't have to spend much time on it. But it is the spooky season. My hot take is that Gengar is not that cool, and I know that's a hot take. Yeah. It's got to be.
Because I feel like he's like the ghost type. Like, I feel like he is like the one.
Yeah, well, no. I think Haunter is way cooler looking, and he's creepier looking.
Yeah.
He's he actually has like a mean looking face, where Gengar is kind of like goofy looking. I don't know. Yeah, no, I mean, there's not much to that.
That's
not much. It just is what it. People like. You have the certain Pokemon, right? Like, obviously, like the Charizards and, like, and again, this is Gen 1, so it's like, we're very narrow at our scope here, but, no, Gengar's like, he's one of the Pokemon that people like, and I don't think he deserves the hype. I think Haunter's cooler.
Are Gengar and Clefairy, like, related? Is that like the thing, because their outlines are the same?
Yeah, it's Clefable, which is Clefairy's evolution, and yeah, there's a theory because they have like the same exact like figure, and people think that like Gengar is like Clefable's like shadow, which that would be sweet, but that's not like
Love that.
They didn't like legitimize that as far as unless people can tell me
maybe the
otherwise.
same. I don't
But
know.
I've never seen that like been canon, which that would be cool. I don't know.
Last thing on Pokemon that I have. In this new game, have you seen the Mega Evolution of Starmie?
Yes, it's Patrick from the SpongeBob movie. Yeah.
Long legs.
They make Mega Starmie, and you just give Starmie legs. Or not just lengthen the legs.
It's just like it's like 10 feet tall and runs at you really fast. Really, you know
Oh,
what?
I hate it.
Yeah, not to get you hyped up, not to get you hyped up, but
Oh,
I did see that.
oh man, dude, yeah, it's so bad. I don't know, like, I'm just trying to think, and you know, I'm no designer, I'm not a graphic designer, so like, I don't know, like, off the top of my head, what would be better, but I'm sure anything is better.
Yeah.
So like, why would they do that? I don't know. Do something with like the gemstone in the middle, right? Or do something that like relates to it being a starfish. Or like, I don't know, do something. Like if you want to get clever with it, which is what, the giant legs?
Yeah.
Is that because the French Starmie like orgasms when it fucking attacks? So like, we're gonna give it long, sexy legs.
That might be more thought than they even put into it. I don't know. Like I think that you're giving them a little too much credit.
Oh man, it's ridiculous. Yeah, I know. I did see that. We did not talk. I completely forgot to bring that up.
I think you blocked it out.
I did. I was like, I think that might have been like, I'm done. Like I'm just done watching this. Like these ads or sorry, like people's videos on stuff. Yeah.
I will true last comment on Pokemon is you know what, as a Chikorita fan, we do appreciate the promo though. So thank you.
For we're both Chikorita stands,
you know,
right? Yeah.
like
I fuck with Chikorita.
Gotta give it up.
Yeah, Chikorita
for the main one of the best starters.
Oh
for sure.
Oh for sure. Which that's a hot take. There's people like us. You either love Chikorita or you hate Chikorita.
Compared to like Totodile, I'm sorry. What are we talking about? What are we talking about?
I don't know. Sometimes you just want a cool dinosaur that shoots leaves. Like that's what Pokemon was at that time.
And a gimmick, you know, give me a head whip.
Yeah,
like, that is such a fun gimmick.
Oh yeah. So yeah, we can get off the Pokemon, but how to bring it up. My other thing for the week, and I kind of mentioned this, I think maybe last episode or maybe the episode before, of how I was like a PlayStation 3 kid, right? So I had a lot of people that had Xbox 360s that I was friends with, and a lot of these people, not all of them, but some of them were the classic, all they own is the newest Call of Duty that's out that year and the newest FIFA that's out that year, right? And maybe towards the end of like high school, it was like GTA, you know, like GTA 5, which that's crazy. That's a different conversation. But yeah, so recently Battlefield 6 has like come out. There's been, I think it's died down recently because like it's been like a week or so after launch. But on launch, everybody was, you know, obviously kind of pissed at Call of Duty that they're like kind of making these shit games. And I don't know, as a PS3 player who was one of those people that like, if you told an Xbox 360 player that only owned 3 games, like, oh, you don't have to pay for internet or you don't have to pay to like play with your friends through the internet on the PlayStation, and there's all these really cool games. Oh, by the way, your Xbox also has all these cool games. And like, I don't know. I'm doing a bad way of explaining it, but me as that kid, like, appreciates the overarching COD fan base giving like a boycott to COD and saying we should all go play Battlefield 6. I'm like, yes, like just branch out, like try a different game. And I know a lot of people that could be listening to this, like obviously are like, oh, like a lot of gamers like play many games, and like I totally get that. But there is there's a huge demographic of gamers who only play a couple games. They would always just buy a console, hook it up to their family TV, and just play a couple games, right? And I think those people, more and more over the years, either stop playing video games or start thinking, there's other stuff out there. And I don't know. I thought that was cool. I don't know how much you've heard of the Battlefield 6 stuff.
I'm gonna be honest. This and COD in general are kind of a blind spot for me. I was a little bit. I did have a 360, and I was in, the trenches of COD. What's it called? Online voice.
Voice chat,
Xbox Live,
Xbox
all
Live
that.
chat,
Listen. They told me I was gay before I knew I was gay. If you know what I mean. I feel like in general, the most exposure I really get to like online like gaming was during the pandemic when I was really into Overwatch. And that's in no way the same thing. But it is a first-person shooter. It's like maybe the closest I've really scratched at...
any sort of shooter game.
I always avoided it. But I love the concept of destroying a monopoly. And really, like, intentionally being like... Especially, like, when we are paying you all this money every year to essentially release, like...
It's the same game.
Yeah, I mean, it's like FIFA, you know?
So 100% the same game. It's just updated graphics. Which should just be an update.
Yeah.
Right? That's the thing. And hopefully people wake up. I've already seen people have woken up to like the sports games and like, oh man, like they're just selling us the same game every year, but they're still buying it, you know?
I mean, also like, I feel like COD specifically, we gotta divest from because it feels a little, this is my tinfoil hat being put on my head.
Put it on.
But it feels a little psyop-y. I wouldn't be surprised. I haven't done research into this, but this is just me speculating out loud. But, like, I'm sure that the U.S. government is part of the development of that game to some degree. Because I think about even when I was playing in the throes and aftermath of the War on Terror, quote, like, every young man in America was playing Modern Warfare 2.
Yeah.
That was just what it was. And it really sanitized certain visuals for us. So, I don't know, Battlefield, they might be in bed in the same way with certain parties, but I love divesting from Call of Duty, for sure. That feels right to me.
It does feel pretty weird that kids are going home and playing the No Russian mission on Modern Warfare 2.
Hey.
Yeah, you can just go home and murder people in an airport.
Listen.
On a video game. Yeah, no.
And if the government didn't subsidize that, who
we don't know ball.
who develops Call of Duty? Who's the one?
It's like Activision. Treyarch and what's the other one?
Yeah, y'all were. There's no way y'all were radicalizing the youth for free. There's no way. Like someone made money in that whole transaction. But yeah, no, I know that it's free on like PlayStation. It might be worth like downloading just to like one of the not Battlefield, maybe one of the recent Battlefields.
I know Call of Duty Warzone is for free. Because that's the like battle royale game. It's like their competitor to Fortnite, right? Which Fortnite's free. But yeah, Battlefield 6. I'm almost positive you have to pay for it.
Yeah.
It's like the counterpart to, I guess now Call of Duty has Black Ops 7 coming out, which again like. We just had Black Ops 6, but whatever.
Black Ops 7?
Yeah.
Oh my god. Yeah. I remember when Black Ops came out.
Yeah,
Call of Duty Black Ops.
What? That was revolutionary.
What?
Yeah, no. So 7 will be... There's already like people playing like the early access or have played it, or I forget. But yeah. I don't know. I thought that was cool as somebody who tried to get other people to like open their mind a little bit against the Call of Duty conglomerate. That was cool that gamers were like, fuck you, you know? And they were like, you're not going to make a good game. Battlefield looks sweet. So let's go play that. So I don't know. That was cool. That's pretty much all I have for the week though. A little bit of a rambling there, but I don't know. What have you gotten into since the last time?
So this past week, I'll talk a little bit about what I've really gotten into at the end. But I did, as of a couple days ago, start to get into an album, and it is the new Olivia Dean album. I feel like I realized that I've been told like since I used to drive people around for my job a little bit, and I would put on playlists a little bit, and I got feedback that was around like 2020. I got feedback from people that was like, you like really sad music, and I'm like, maybe I think I do to a degree, but especially in the fall at this time, something that's a little more introspective and something that is just a little more you know, even a happy song, there's just tinges of like reality and tinges of like, you know, nuance. I feel like her album really taps into that. Have been putting off listening to it, and just in terms of like a fall album, it just really, really hit me at the right time. So,
yeah. Oh, nice. I like that song, "The Man I Need." Right, that's like the main one.
It is,
which I feel like I've never heard of her before because I might not just be plugged into that scene. But all of a sudden, she was everywhere, like all over my feed, like everywhere.
And I think that song got a little overplayed for me, a little like because I didn't dive any deeper, and so I've had to like skip that one as I've listened to this album. But the rest of the album, like genuinely, some really, really, really fantastic sad fall music, and it really hits. It really, really hits. I think I was gonna recommend one song. I believe it was the second to last one. A couple minutes by Olivia Dean. That's all I'm gonna say.
All right.
Highly recommend for if you're feeling a little sad.
Fall time.
Yeah,
It starts getting darker early. You know, it's
and it's about missed opportunities. I saw a TikTok today set to that song that was like a montage from the movie Up, and I was like, bro, listen, I can't even talk about it too much. Really hits certain emotions. Yeah. It hits certain emotions and longing. It's just really good. So that was my good thing. Olivia Dean, friend of the pod for sure.
Yes,
if you're watching,
first friend.
You know,
next time we gotta get a whiteboard.
We'll
put it back.
We will have a running list.
Right here.
Yeah.
I guess like right on this back wall right here. Bam.
So shout out Olivia Dean. My other current events story is nowhere near as positive and fun. It is.
You're really selling it.
Well, maybe it'll be fun to talk about and litigate.
All right.
But it is. I have been trying to be on Twitter less, but I did go on because I still talk to comic book people on there, and I saw a tweet from the official like Wizards of the Coast Dungeons and Dragons account, and typically on these posts, like I went through their other recent posts, maxing out at like average like 30 retweets. Okay, this post, if you will
Dungeons and Dragons only gets 30 retweets.
Well, on the official account, I mean, half the time they're not even
posting or
they're rarely posting, and when they do, it is like, you know, tune into this like Zoom event, or you know, it's I don't think that is.
So their interaction like count or whatever is like generally pretty
low. They tweeted out a image. In this realm, your story is yours to tell.
I can see where this is going. I can see exactly where you're going with this.
An outrage cycle was spun out of this, and just to describe the image a little bit, there is a lively town square. It's illustrated by somebody. I don't believe the artist is credited, and like on hindsight, thank God, because I'm sure they would be.
They would have got death threats.
Their address is posted online somewhere. But like, there's like a buff tiefling dude seemingly dancing with like a human or an elf, like dipping him in the middle of this scene. So it's two dudes, you know, and then there are just kind of generally.
It's like a celebration.
LGBTQ maybe energy. There's a rainbow in the sky.
There's a rainbow.
It turned out that this image was posted because they're doing some sort of like fall pride collab. So they're going to release something, and I didn't even dive in deep enough to see what's being released, but it's rainbow capitalism, right? Like they're selling they're selling to a certain demographic, and that's what this is. But the response, I went through the replies.
There's 26 million views.
Yes.
Jesus.
I went through some of the top replies, like things that when you see quote tweets, you can see like the most engaged things, and I mean a lot of profile pictures. You know, a dude sitting in his car with a beard, sunglasses looking like,
the Oakleys that like look like they're about to embed into the skull.
Comment section looking, you know, full of the Sixers, January Sixers, and
enemies of the pod.
Enemies of the pod. But talking about like, you know, my hobby is like dead. Like this is not, you know, this is why gatekeeping is important, because you let too many people in with like their own, you know, vision for this, and you know, whatever.
They used the word gatekeeping. That's crazy.
No, they said gatekeeping is necessary.
That was crazy.
That had thousands of likes. A post that I saw that said that in response to this. And maybe it's like the Catholic school combativeness in me, but like I really want to get to the point. Like, I want to see what the actual issue is, because I think that there's, sure. Also, to be clear, this isn't official artwork. You can look at the new player handbook they released, and it has that, like, grimdark, maybe more traditional D&D aesthetic. Like, if you look at the latest actual official art, this is for a Pride collab, you know?
So, D&D is 100% user controlled.
Well... You know,
they're making our D&D gay.
No, literally,
like, dude, you don't have to. You don't have to like incorporate this into your story. It's just like what they want to do.
It's so interesting, but again, I think that in general, this is how like their online outrage cycles. This is very much a thing. Right. I looked for a real point that was being made in here, and this person says that they're not part of the right wing Reddit crowd. But they said it does suck that D&D has become associated with this cozy core, Tumblr-esque, Stardew Valley-ass visual aesthetic. There's no edge to this whatsoever. It doesn't make me want to go dungeon crawling or slay monsters. It looks like an ad for a cafe. I really would love to take that seriously. But as you just said, this is completely up to y'all. And I think that part of the issue is, regardless of, like, fuck political affiliation here. I mean, obviously that's like, going to always factor in. But, like, I think... You know, we've talked about a little bit of this when sometimes people play D&D for different reasons. There are like min-maxers, and there are people who like really get into the science, and you know, they try to really maximize like a certain class or whatever. But I think that in general around like men's hobbies, like I think there's something to be said about like you're embarrassed to be having fun, or you're embarrassed for this to be fun. And I think a lot of people look at this a little bit more, and you played a lot more D&D than me, so maybe you could speak to this, but like, it just seems like there's like people who do this and maybe are like, you know, I don't do it for like fun. This is like, you know, like there's like a journey, or I'm trying to meet these certain things. Like they feel the need to justify the gay fun that they're having, when realistically,
the role
like,
playing, the role playing,
realistically, this is all super gay. Like if you're doing D&D, like you're not, just because you're not like, again, like cozy core, Tumblr aesthetic, Stardew Valley, like you're making fun of those people while like you're all at the same party and you're making fun of them. You know what I mean? Like,
you're cosplaying as another man. or an elf.
I hate to break it to you, but when you're you know, grim dark sword over your shoulder, like flirting with the bar wench, you're flirting with your bro. Like you're you know, like you're just not
kind of similar, kind of not. It reminds me of when people are like you're wearing a football player's name on your back. That's about the gayest thing you can do, you know? Like, you are cosplaying as a football player to go and then cheer in the stands for said man. Like, that's...
Listen, I was really intrigued by this outrage cycle, because I feel like there's, like... Again, as someone who's newer to D&D and someone who, like, really... One thing I like about it is that it can be so many different things. And you can do something...
Yeah, so you kind of mentioned about, like, you know, you don't know what I've ever seen. I think I was, you know, fortunate that I was with a good group that, like, you know, there was no sort of vibe of, like, you know, this isn't fun or something. Like, it was very much understood that, like the role-playing aspect is, like, fun and appropriate and, like, cool, right? And like you just said there, it also depends on your group, right? So, like, truly... D&D, I always tell people, when people ask, what is it? It is a storytelling game. That's what it is. You and a group of people are getting together consistently and continuing to tell a story together. That's what it is. However that plays out is how you want it to be, right? You and, like, the DM has a lot of, like, effort into this to help steer the story. If you like dungeon crawling and doing that sort of edginess, that's great. Legitimately, like you said, it could be anything. If they want cafe cottagecore as a story, or like as a theme or an aesthetic to their world, that's just as viable as you wanting an edgy dungeon crawler because that's the point. It is whatever you want to do. It is endless possibilities. It's whatever you want it to be. So the fact that you being like, this isn't D&D proves that you don't understand D&D. You yourself, whoever that person is, you got to look inward and realize that you are not fully getting out of D&D what you should be getting out of D&D. That's what I would say to that person.
And maybe my last point on like this general topic, but like the comments that were the most hilarious to me was, first of all, Twitter is like the worst place on the internet, without a doubt. Like Twitter is like, I saw there was people used Grok, which is the AI associated with Twitter, to animate that image, and I wish I bookmarked it so I could get your live reaction to it right now. But you can, I guess, use Grok to make animation, like edits to photos. And so using Grok, this person someone edited like a like spacecraft slamming into the ground, like crushing the main two, and then Space Marines coming out and like shooting up the thing,
like,
you know,
the town square.
And there were a few thousand likes on that. And I was like, okay, half of this is bots probably. So like I don't know how seriously to take that, but it's like that. And then in addition to that, what I found the most ironic was people responding to that image with like, this is like what D&D should look like, and they're using like some sort of like generative, AI to create like a yellow filtered like guy in a cave, like and a poorly fleshed out dragon over there, and it's like something that looks a little more grimdark, maybe a little bit more traditional. And I'm like, so you are looking at it. Just to be clear, this is why, like, just in the creative space, I'm really AI hesitant and against, because I'm just like, that you're looking at work created by a human being and saying that's not what I want, and then you're going to your computer and typing in a 20-word prompt and saying this is what what D&D should be like,
they should posted.
Something that you didn't even think of or create, like you didn't put pencil to paper and draw this, you just did that, and I not that you have to do that. I'm just saying
we're not even drawing it. The whole point of D&D is very like visual in your head, right? So just describing it, even just being able to write out a paragraph describing a scene that somebody would see. You didn't even do that.
The kids can't read, so it's not gonna happen.
The kids can't read.
The kids can't read. Maybe title the episode. Bookmark that in case
kids can't read.
But yeah, I don't know. I just thought that was a really interesting thing, and I don't know what is to come for Wizards of the Coast. I feel like they were in some hot water. So to be clear, I am not defending them as an organization. That's another example of like they have a monopoly, even though I know there are other systems. Like I know they have like the big thing.
You're defending the people that they are inadvertently attacking, saying that this is bullshit. That's what it is.
And also, if you are a nerd who is sympathetic to that, like, sure, there are things that I'm protective of as a fan. There are things that I look at and I'm like, I really don't want this to shift from my vision. X-Men for sure. Like, I feel that way. But at the same time, like, look at who you retweet. Like if they have like 1488 in their bio, maybe just like say, there's some, I might be retweeting a Nazi, you know what I mean? Like, let's just be aware of like who you agree with. But nobody cares. But yeah, no, that's the extent that I think I can talk about that.
Interesting. Yeah, I did not hear about that at all. That's wild. Expect, in today in the current
landscape
expected, to be honest, which sucks, but yeah, well, all right.
Oh wait, you said a hot take. Should I?
Yeah, you want a hot take?
I have one hot take, and it will not take long.
All right.
And I can't remember if we talked about this.
I forgot last time. I feel like that one time you did like a level of heat. So I'll give a level of heat here on this.
Oh, like how hot this take is. Okay. So like, in Marvel Comics, they have, the universe has blinked in and out of existence a few times in events and all that. Mm-hmm. But realistically, this universe that the Marvel Comics universe is set in is the same timeline from the comics of the 1940s. Like, if we're counting like original Captain America comics and the Invaders, which they have grandfathered into the Marvel Comics canon, since the 1940s to now, it is the same timeline that all of these things have been. There have been spin-off universes and things like that, for sure. Okay. DC has rebooted their timeline a few times now, like I think 2 or 3 in the last like 20 years, where they just like essentially reset the board, and then we do new origins for Superman and Wonder Woman and Batman and all the characters.
So it's not just like an alternate universe.
It is the main timeline.
It's basically making a clean slate.
Yes.
Okay.
My hot take, because I'm hearing whispers. Listen, I'm not really in the comic book scene anymore like that. I like I said, I go on Twitter sparingly just to see, bot induced D&D discourse.
Yeah.
But I'm seeing whispers of Marvel considering some sort of line-wide reboot, and I just have to say, if Marvel does that, like, it's legit over. Like, comic books are done if they do that, because DC has failed every reboot, everything. I feel like it is such a gift to be able to have a continuous timeline, because I own all these comics, right? Like, I've invested, a lot of money into comic books over the years that I still have and have maintained. And like, the thought of none of that being canon, or them saying, well, we're done with that now. Like they kind of did with Star Wars. I think we talked about, like, they did that with the extended Star Wars universe. DC has done that several times, where now there are comics that like just never happened in the current like canon of these characters, and they write something new, and obviously it'll always exist. My hot take is just, if Marvel does that, it's like RIP big two comic book industry. Like I don't understand why you would trade that in. Like, I really.
Here's my question. I can't think of anything before. Because again, you said they started in the 1940s, correct? Comics, or Marvel specifically.
That's like grandfathered in. I would say like 1963, when the like Mr. Fantastic Four #1 came out. It was like really the beginning.
I can't, because now everything's a universe, right?
Yeah.
In the Harry Potter universe, the canon, comic books to me seem like the first big, well constructed, like, this is a verse, right? And maybe there's something before it, media-wise. I don't know. I can't think off the top of my head. But even maybe it's one of the first, like, medias to ever do that.
Yeah.
And, like, be concise with it, and it's very detailed. And, like, that's the whole point of the stories, are, like, timelines and events, and, the fucking super soldier serum and Nazis, like, somehow just spread into a whole fucking comic book tree of stuff. I feel like everything's connected to that. But anyway, Why would you toss that all away?
Like, it is like, and that's what's crazy, because I see people genuinely say like, oh, like, this is so limiting, like they should reboot every like 10 years. I legit see people say that online, and I'm like, this level of like canon, and some writers, not all, because there are some real hacks working within the industry. I'm not naming no names, but I'm just saying there's some people that like I would never let write my favorite character. But like, there are some writers like Al Ewing, friend of the pod, Al Ewing for sure.
Okay. All right.
One of the best in the industry, who like is clearly a student of the Marvel Comics universe. And when he writes books, there will be the most random pulls and real awareness of like, especially when he was writing a couple years ago, there would be data pages where they would just be kind of a long write up of, information. Maybe it was like, Storm gets a report from Blue Marvel about something, and it's that report written in the thing. And there's just such a attention, like, awareness of what I've spent a large part of my life getting invested in, like seeing like, oh, this is someone else who understands and will reference and understands this character and how they relate to this concept or this team or this thing, and fold that in. There are brands that would pay so much for what Marvel has right now. Like, if they were to willingly give that up and go the route of DC, which, I'm sorry, who gives a fuck about DC Comics? Like, there's no, that maybe that's the real hot, I think that's the real hot take.
Yeah, that felt hotter than the
yeah. That's what's really underlying the sentiment, is just like, if nothing matters. I feel like I constantly see things where I'm like, oh, maybe I'd be interested in that, but I don't want to like invest in the story and spend this money, which is like one thing, but like get invested in this version of, there's like a really lauded version of Poison Ivy series that's coming out right now, but I am not reading it because I'm like, well, when they reboot the universe in 4 years, what is this going to have to do with anything? Like, why would I waste the time getting invested versus Marvel, which was always part of the appeal for me? Like, this is something that like, even the shitty stuff is of consequence, because later on, there was a comic book about like Nightcrawler being revealed to be like part devil, like from hell, and it was it was a terrible comic book, but they had to address it when they rewrote it. Like they said, well, that was actually, like part of a grand trick that was played on you, when actually this is the case. And retcons annoy certain people. I kind of like it. I like the continuing expansion of what I've been reading since I was a child, So
yeah, no, that is cool.
I don't know how hot that take is,
but it's full of callbacks and has there ever been a time where a comic book has all of the sudden, without you expecting it, like plot twist, this is connected to way over here? Like, I feel like that happens all the time.
No, absolutely. That's like
that's like super exciting, I feel like.
And like I think like it's tough to explain a little bit like how interconnected and like how certain things are called back upon. You know, there's so many iconic moments, you know, I think a good example would be like Jean Grey as a character, obviously, what she's most famous for, the blueprint, the gene print, you know, going Dark Phoenix, you know, woman mad with power, and then she, you know, genocides a people.
She's psycho. She can't control it.
She like consumes a sun and kills like 8 billion aliens on a planet out in space. And like that character still exists today having done that. And that's part of the canon of her. It's part of what gets revisited so often because it's like, you know, whatever. And why would you trade that in just to do in what in my mind would very clearly be just like a cash grab, like something to we're reestablishing canon, we're reestablishing lore. But it would be informed. I think that's also my problem is like, just like what DC did in like 2011, it's going to be informed by the general public's current understandings of these characters, and like the thought of X-Men being reconstructed around Hugh Jackman Wolverine in the comics, like that thought is.
Well, that would be the reason they do it. Because why would they do it? They want more people getting into comics.
Yeah.
So yeah. There's no way they're going to do that. Oh, it's because we just want the people who buy our comics now, you know, to like it. It's like, no, they're trying to spice it up. Yeah. So more people, because I'm sure comics are a very like untapped market. Yeah. I feel like compare like how many people love the Marvel movies,
the brand,
MCU, versus who actually buy and read the comics. I bet it's a huge ratio.
For sure.
So yeah, I don't know. I was also going to point out how it sounds like, you know, for example, people loved in Endgame the whole like all the portals open up and everybody assembles and it's like the big like final like attack on Thanos to like save not just like the world, the universe, or whatever it is, right? Like people got that excitement and that hype over characters that I'm assuming that don't have nearly as much like media time for you to get invested into a character than like comics do. Mm-hmm. So if people loved the Endgame, right? Because that's like a perfect example of a huge moment where all of these like characters are connected into this story and being used in like a very dramatic big moment, and that's due to a long history of what Marvel is, and the different characters have their different stories that I'm assuming go like this, right? Yeah. They sometimes they're in comics together, sometimes not, that sort of thing. But they're always growing characters, and I would imagine if people would understand their feelings towards just watching a couple Iron Man movies and all of a sudden he's your favorite guy, and like, you know, his whole thing in MCU, would probably agree with you then on like, why would you get rid of all these comics? Because like, you know, that's the connection, you know.
Literally.
All it took is 3 movies for people to be like, Iron Man's my fucking guy, and like you've been reading comics for decades.
And like I'm sorry, but like nobody gave a fuck about Iron Man. Like that's an example of like, you know, like, and I don't think that all reverse synergy is bad. Like I don't think like a movie elevating the profile of a character and them getting featured more heavily. I do not think that that's like a bad thing at all. I don't know. I think sometimes people's visions for what this could be are not based in like again, like these are people who've never read like comics from the 80s, and like I know it's hard because it's a fundamentally different style of storytelling, and like it's not easy. But I'm also informed a little bit by this is my last point on this maybe, but you know, in X-Men specifically, they just had what's it called for 5 years, the Krakoa era, which was I've talked a little bit about with you, but like the most recent era where the X-Men really they form a nation state, and they like, you know, are operating in a more political context. They're like not hated and feared. They're kind of developing what mutant culture looks like. They're developing, you know, just a broader identity for mutant, and it's really interesting storytelling. But what they did in that era that I think I really resonated with is they made room, and they made very clear from the beginning, there is room for every fan of X-Men within this era. Like, they literally outlined, like, you know, there's generations. So there's the first generation, and then the international team with Wolverine and Storm, and then Generation X and the New Mutants, and there's all these different, you know, eras and teams, but they were all present on the island, and they all had houses. Like, there was literally room for everyone, and I think that concept is scary to certain people, but like, it's very like, if we take the past and we use it to inform the future, like, I just feel like there's so much untapped potential. And so often when comic book writers come in, regardless of a continuing timeline, like, it's kind of a joke a little bit about, like, especially X-Men. So a new writer comes on X-Men, they create like 2 or 3 new young mutants to get recruited to the team, and I can heal, and, you know, I can walk through walls, and they are featured in that run and then never seen again. And, like, you know, because nobody else wants to, you know, everybody wants to write their new iconic X-Men character, so they would, when the baton gets passed, people discard.
Finally get the ability to write something. Yeah.
But what's cool is that character is always there. So, like, especially during the Krakoa era of X-Men, you saw pop-ups from the most random one-off characters who, like, appeared, like, in one comic, like 30 years ago, and they pop up and they're like, hey guys, like, I live on the island and I'm actually the bartender at the bar, how's it going, you know? And like, oh, that's cool. That's just such a payoff for people who have been invested in this, and, you know, you know what I mean.
You know what that just made me think of? It's when in fucking Bachelor and Bachelorette Nation, you know, there's all these people that are on the different seasons, the different eras or whatever, and then they have that show, the one where they all go to, like, the beach. They all
Bachelor in Paradise.
And then it's like, yeah, remember this guy is the bartender. Like, that's, I don't know why would he
do they do that?
Yes. They're like, remember this person from this season? They are now going to lead this thing.
But you know, like, if you have that, same for Bachelor Nation for sure.
I don't know. I don't watch those shows recently. But
if you have, like, a plethora of characters that you can pull from, why not?
Yeah.
Like that, and it gets people to be like, oh, that guy.
That's, you know? I feel like that's comic books, though. To me, I feel like that's
Listen, the kids these days, the kids can't read, so no words on the page, and they want hype moments and aura. And I love
they
aura.
Want to flip through it so fast that it starts to become a video.
Yeah, literally. No, they if they could, I'm sure. Listen, they will use AI to animate comic book stuff in the very near future. I have no doubt about that. But
that's a good take. That's a good take. I can see that.
I just wish that there was a little bit more appreciation for what came before sometimes. So that's the extent. I don't know. Also, when I said fuck DC, addendum.
I was going to say that was the hottest thing.
I am not speaking about the new Absolute line of comics. That looks really fantastic. Where they have, like, and again, it's an alternate universe, but, like, really, really interesting takes on Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman, and, like, the broader universe. They're, like, exploring. It's like an alternate timeline, and things are a little bit more, serious, from what I can tell, and politically informed, it seems. So love that. Yeah, that's all I got. Hot take wise, I don't know if you have a rating on the take.
First one, I'd say, like, soup. You know, it was a little hot, but nothing crazy. But the DC one that inadvertently you had.
That
was hot. That was
Fight me. I've really tried with a couple DC comics.
I'm sure
I've tried.
You'll get some fights for that. But, I think you know, maybe this is a good transition now. I think for everyone listening, we always try to do, you know, sort of same structure every episode. And recently, I feel like we've been trying to do, like, some sort of prompt every week to kind of get us talking about certain, or really can kind of spin into any topic, but we learn a little more about each other, you know, and I feel like it's good discussion. So this week's prompt, talking about fall, right? Again, it's fall time, you know, leaves are falling. Fall means back to school. What was the perfect getting home from school look like for you? So we're talking high school. Specifically, what did your days look like as a high schooler, what would you come home and watch? What would you come home and play? What would you like that? What if we could just take all your days and put them on a map and throw a dart?
Mm-hmm.
What would it look like?
I was thinking about this in high school. I definitely was still on my like loner grind. There were some games that toward like the end of high school, I would say I was playing less, but like Kingdom Hearts, like when I was like a freshman or sophomore in high school, that was prime time for me to sit and like, I mean, hours and hours and hours, and I really poured into that. Or Mass Effect, which was also out around that time. Mass Effect, okay. I would love to play those. If it's like after school, usually my brother and I would get home around the same time. At that time, and I mean we would watch movies together, especially like we like I talked about last week, we're really on our horror grind, so we'd watch like the Saw movies. We had a million DVDs, so we would like, again, kids these days don't know anything about the DVD
case,
book,
like the
case
booklet, yeah,
that you flip through and like say, oh yeah, like I'm gonna watch The Incredibles for the like 50th time.
I was still ripping the VHS tapes.
Well, in high school,
yes, I had the VCR hooked up to my little TV in my room.
I love that. I did the like I said, we watched that. Or I think high school, I want to say, like oh my god, my dad hated it, but that was when we started to get into Bad Girls Club, and we
I don't know what
loved
that is,
yeah. Bad Girls Club is the progenitor for Baddies. It's where Baddies comes from. Bad Girls Club
is it still Natalie Nunn?
Natalie Nunn was on season 4 of Bad Girls Club, and she took the brand from them. But it was just,
Natalie Nunn!
Oh my god, and also, when I was at the dentist today, the last time I'm bringing the dentist ever, the receptionist and I were talking about, like, oh yeah, like, just chilling. We started talking about reality TV, and she asked me if I watched the Baddies reunion last night. And this is like a white woman in her 50s. And I said, there's no way you just asked me if I... And she was like, yeah, like, I don't know, I just feel like Diamond the Body can't fight this season. And I'm like, you are like, a hoot lady.
You're amazing.
You really made my day with that.
Wow.
But no, we would watch Bad Girls Club. And I mean, it was the same premise, but with a little bit more guidelines. It was on the Oxygen Network. If you remember Oxygen, it was a woman.
Yeah, I do remember that.
Centered. I believe it was owned by Oprah Winfrey.
That just brought a memory back. Yeah.
And they would nod at the concept of, well, this is bad girls coming to be reformed, to change their ways, and then I mean eventually it devolved into women fighting in mansions, like which is
good reality
a bulletproof
TV.
concept has been proven. Hey, there will always be an appetite for it's our modern gladiators, but definitely was watching Bad Girls Club and more trash TV like that at that time. So Bad Girls Club, some gaming, that kind of answers my version of that. I don't know about you.
For sure, yeah. So I guess for me, I would get home from school and I would immediately go try to get something to eat and sit down, and I would rip back FX. Whatever was on FX, because they always, coming home from school around that time, had some sort of random movie on. And usually they were running the same, like, 3 movies, like, for the month, right? And so I feel like I've like, seen some movies through FX the whole way through, but, like, in bits, right? So, like, I might have the week before saw the first 40 minutes of, like, a movie, and then the next week saw the last 40 minutes of a movie, which is, I don't know, kind of weird. And then eventually I'd be like, I should sit down and just watch this whole movie,
Listen, pre-streaming at this point, it must sound like the wild fucking West, like, to people. The concept of not being able to stop watching and pick up exactly where you left off with, like, whatever you wanted at any time.
True, I don't even think about that. Yeah, it's so easy now, But yeah, so I would kind of watch movies through FX. And again, I didn't want to sit there for an hour and a half. Or with commercials, I mean, that was pushing 2.5 hours. And so I'd watch for a little bit, and then I was always ripping my my PlayStation mascot games, right? So like Crash Bandicoot, Uncharted, God of War, Ratchet and Clank, like any of that kind of stuff.
Uncharted was big at that time too. I was playing that.
I remember when Skyrim came out, like different games like that, like for the PS3. which I think the PS4 came out. Was it 2014 when the PS4 came out?
It was around there.
I was gonna say I definitely had the PS4 like towards the end of high school. So then that felt like revolutionary. That felt like a big bump up in like tech, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
And that had like the new like Uncharted game. So I was ripping a lot of some sort of like single player game, usually like 80% of the time, and sometimes I play a multiplayer game with like the very few people that I would play with. I was big into like zombies, like Nazi zombies in Call of Duty. I would buy Call of Duty just to play zombies. That's it. I wouldn't play like the online. Like I would if people asked and I had some time. Like, all right, yeah, I'll be social. But I bought them to play. Like I would never sit down by myself and play anything on that game except for zombies. I was big into zombies. But either that or, and that, again, might sound like a crazy. If watching movies on TV like that sounds crazy to a younger generation, going down to there's a family of brothers that lived down the street from me, and I was friends with them for like a good period of like growing up, and we would play like couch co-op like in their basement, right? So that was another big thing. I mean they lived like a minute walk down, like they were only like 10 houses down or something.
Yeah.
And we played like Nazi zombies. We played together like the split screen. We played this game called Resistance, which was like PlayStation's version of Halo, essentially. So yeah, like different games like that where you could sit down multiple controllers and play on the same TV. Which honestly, I feel like that needs to make a resurgence.
Yeah.
That's fun. Yeah. I mean, don't get me wrong. I love the ability to just be like, hey, like, let's hop on. I love that. I love playing online with people. I've done it more now than I have in the past. My multiplayer experience is only going up, right? But I do love a good, let's sit down and play a game together, like on the same screen. Like, that is fun. So, yeah, that's mostly what it looked like. Again, when I would do homework, I would, in the background, have my VCR rolling, so I pop in the tapes, and I need to have something in the background like while I'm working. So
I can't remember if it was in high school or after high school, or before high school, that like TiVo and recording things was, but I'm unlocking memories right now of like having. I mean, and I would get so pissed off when like someone would delete like the storage.
Yeah, because it only had so much storage, and that was back before like storage was. I was a couple gigs or something,
I was like a terrorist in my house, and I remember having all of X-Men Evolution, the cartoon, like TiVo'd, so I could watch like any episode that I wanted at any given time. And there was some sort of purge at some point, and I remember
you went off.
I remember being really upset.
Oh, I bet.
Because that show was also, I mean, now like everything you can stream or
it's actually kind of crazy that like networks are okay with that with TiVo.
Oh,
like just like downloading stuff.
I mean, in a way, I feel like there was like they couldn't have imagined where we would eventually be on this, so it was like, oh yeah, like you retaining. I mean, you retaining means that you tuned in, right? Like you recording something. Well, I guess not really. If you recorded,
and you're seeing the ads again.
Yeah.
But again, it's like I don't know if the general family could like figure out how to get something off a TiVo box into like having it on a disc, but I'm sure people did that. Mm-hmm. Even the VHS tapes is crazy. You own that now. You're putting that shit on a film. Listen. And you own it. Like that was sick. I have many movies on tape that I recorded right off the TV.
We don't own nothing now. Yeah. Listen, they decide
weekly thing. I bought a GameCube because that was my final last console to get.
So you're prepared for the bunker.
They can't see it, but up there in the what are they called? Shelves, bookshelves. I have a ton of consoles up there. That one day I eventually hope I can have like my own room where I have them all plugged in.
Absolutely
sick. That'd be awesome. But anyway.
Yeah. I had all I was gonna say is on FX definitely relate. I've probably seen Transformers: Revenge of the Fallen, 150 times
that one
via FX. Because it was just a good channel to just leave on.
Yeah, you just leave it on. You come in whenever you want and leave whenever you want.
Yeah,
that's
Also, the movie Legion, if you remember that one, about the angel and they were at a gas station.
Yeah, Legion.
There's very, very religious.
Yeah,
energy.
Legion. I'm trying to think of what other movies on there. Pretty sure. They would rip back like not huge movies, but not like ass movies either. Like what was that called? They did the Mummy movies. I remember that.
They were on FX.
But what's that? Like the Clash of Titans or whatever.
Clash of the Titans.
Like all those movies. Like just random movies like that.
Hancock.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah.
Ooh, we're gonna talk about
iRobot.
Well, honestly, they might have had a contract with Will Smith.
They might. I remember watching iRobot on there a million times. There was that one like 2-month period where it was on like every day.
I don't think we have time for it today, but we're putting a pin in Will Smith movies as a conversation for sure. Like I think there is something to be said, and it's not all bad and it's not all good.
Yeah.
I'm not declaring him an enemy of the pod yet, but yeah.
All right, sweet. Yeah, maybe next episode.
Maybe. But in terms of what's it called? I know we talked about the kind of what we did in the fall. Do you want to launch into recommendations, or do you have anything else before then?
Yeah, I think that pretty much summed it up. I feel like. I truly don't know, like, how does that look for kids? How does it look for, the new generation of kids now? It's got to be the same. I think for them, it's probably hopping on whatever console they have and, like, who's on, and, like, ripping back Fortnite and, like, Roblox.
The kids are spending V-Bucks and Robux or whatever.
So, I'm sure it looks very similar, just in a different font.
Yeah.
And I'm sure it's still alive and well. So I don't know. Maybe the TV thing's a little different. Maybe they're like streaming Netflix in the background while they're playing, or on, probably on another monitor.
There are 4 screens active at any given time.
Just looks like a fucking hacker. Like just like
the most boomer vision of what they're doing. Listen, I'm just joking, kids. I'm just joking. To be clear, I'm just being funny.
But yeah, I think to end here, and again, anybody a first-time listener, we also like to end with a recommendation of the week, where we both talk about something. It's usually not too long, a little brief talk about something that we think people will enjoy, or something that we've enjoyed ourselves that we think, if you've never heard of it, never seen it, never played it, whatever it is, if you like the idea of it, you should try it out. So yeah, I guess I'll go first. Yeah. Mine's pretty quick. Again, it's fall time. And this game has nothing to do with the fall time at all, but to me, it like feels fall to me. And I think it was probably introduced to me in the fall. But it's a card game called Here to Slay. I have been shown, if Randy is ever listening, if you made it this far,
shout out.
He was the guy who showed me this game. He showed me and a couple other people in college this game. I have then shown friends from home this game. They have shown other friends this game, and all these people have it's like a daisy chain of everybody buying this game for themselves. It is a very good game. Once you get the hang of it, it's pretty easy to play. Essentially, you have these cards. Most of them have like heroes on them. Then they have different abilities. And essentially the way you can win the game, and you can play with anywhere from 2 to 8 people, I think, is if you have the expansion. Which again, this game and the expansions are pretty cheap. It's like $20.
And
then the expansions are like $8 or something. Yeah, it's super cheap. It's it has a lot of good replayability. But yeah, you essentially either have to amass a army of heroes of different, they all have different classes, like bard, warrior, I might be getting these wrong, it could be fighter or something, I don't know. Like mage, and each class is a different type of animal. So all the mages are bunnies, and all of the bards are chipmunks, all of the rangers are all foxes, I think, or something like that, or wolves. The wolves are the sword people. But anyway, it's very aesthetic in that way, and you can either amass kind of an army of heroes that are different classes, or you can kill 3 monsters. And you can use the heroes to attack monsters. You can use the heroes to destroy or steal other heroes from other people. You roll dice in this game, so to activate the abilities, there's only a chance that you can activate it. And so you roll the dice and you try to, if a card says you have to get a 6 or higher when you roll 2 dice, and then you can use this effect. You roll the dice. So it has a luck aspect to it. Which is fine. It's very strategic, but I think you need a little luck in there. I think it keeps it fun. There's modifier cards, so like if you roll to try to use an ability or attack a monster, other people that you're playing against, and it's a free for all. There's no teams or anything. Other people can band together to use modifier cards to like increase or decrease the number that you roll. So yeah, it's a very fun like party game, I would say, like a small party game, where everybody is kind of against everyone else, and at any time someone can screw over another player. It gets very chaotic. It's very fun. It's a really good theme. It's everything clicks very, very well. It's cheap. Again, it's not too hard to explain once you've played it. I don't know. It is one of the top board games I've played in the last 10 years.
I haven't played it a ton. I mean, I think most, if not all the times I've played it, it's either been with you or Randy. Shout out.
Yes.
And
Shout out.
I would say it works really well as a party game that is just complex enough to be engaging. Like, I have not played Uno at a party in many years, and I don't know that I will. As much as it's fun and it's funny, I probably have done that hundreds of times. And I think that like there is an appetite for something a little more complex, but also this is not a game that I think like, you talk about like people disassociating while you explain another board game rules to them, and
the memes where it's like when I'm at a party or I'm at a pregame and someone breaks out a board game that they try to explain to me, and some they're just like falling off a bridge. So I was like, oh god.
Or like they just explained it for the 3rd time and I still don't get it.
Yeah.
Like that's a real like aspect to this, and I would say it is so accessible, and every time that I've ever played, either for the first time for me or with someone else who's like seen it the first time, you get it after the first time. Like genuinely, I think it's really accessible in that way. It's
a good like gateway into maybe trying to play more complex games, but it's like an easy game to pick up that isn't Uno.
It's complex enough that every game literally will be different. Like every game will play out differently, even when it comes to who your commander is or who you get as your
different heroes,
your main
pull,
thing. Because you get different abilities, and then you get to play with other people's turns even differently. So
no, that's very fun. It is addicting, and I don't know. I think it's a great recommendation. So if anybody hears this and they're thinking, I've been itching to get a new little like card game or board game, pick it up. You can get it on Amazon cheap.
I
thought it was a good pitch.
I think it's a great pitch. You've already sent hundreds of dollars to whoever the developers of this game is, way. So what's another?
We need the referral code.
I was gonna say you might want to sponsor the pod.
Because we have so many sponsors like knocking on the door.
You're competing with some
with our 3 views. Our 3 views right now. Gotta start somewhere.
Exactly. But I very excited about Here to Slay. Looking forward to hopefully playing that this fall at some point. At a gathering. I think that'd be lit. What do you have this week? This week for my recommendation have what I have spent the weekend revisiting, and I just destroyed Nintendo earlier in this broadcast. And y'all are still on the list, but what I will say is I recently got back into Fire Emblem, and
I've never played any of those games. That might be a next time topic.
I played, so my familiarity with Fire Emblem up until I played this game was, what's it called? And it was during the pandemic that I got into this game. Was Super Smash, where there are 18 different sword-wielding characters that all have various hair colors and are from various Fire Emblem games. But they came out with Fire Emblem 3 Houses for the Switch around, it was almost 10 years ago, I think, which is wild. Not 10 years ago. The Switch hasn't been out for 10 years.
Damn.
Right? I should, maybe like 2018 this game came out.
I think it came out the Switch came out like I want to say 2016 or
What?
something like that.
Okay. Well,
That's like 9 years, right?
oh, I got a Switch for
I'll double check.
I got a Switch for COVID pandemic shutdown, and I got Fire Emblem Three Houses because I was intrigued because it was turn-based. Speaking of turn-based, 2017.
March of 2017.
This is like a turn-based, thing, and it is like, you have various units and you send them out into battle, and you literally like are maneuvering them like a chessboard. The battlefield becomes a chessboard, and it is that, but the game itself is so appealing to me on so many different levels. It is, first of all, back to school. That's how I factored it into today. I also had a convoluted justification for,
This recommendation.
But you play as Byleth, who is the silent Nintendo protagonist of the game, and you essentially just go to this, like, it's like a military academy, where there are all these students, some versed in, swords and axes and bow and arrow and magic and all these things, but it is a school for the future leaders of the world that you live in. So literally, like, the 3 houses in the game are 3 different classes. Red are the Black Eagles, blue are the golden, the deer, I believe. If I'm wrong, light me up in the comments. No. The yellow is golden deer, and blue is something I'm not remembering right now. But either way, each of those houses is led by basically the child of a really important political person. And you get to take up, you become the teacher for which class you get to choose at the beginning of the game. And so that's your party for the playthrough. And you then see this story play out that I'm not going to say too much to spoil it, because I genuinely feel like there are some surprises that hit me significantly. I remember I will say there's a time jump. That's all I'm going to say. And you get to see people at older ages than when you had met them. And I remember seeing that for the first time, because I was like, no way. The whole game is a social game. It is you are, when your units are in combat next to each other and this person attacks and this person attacks, you see little hearts over their heads because they're getting closer. And then you get to see cutscenes throughout the game that is just all of your characters in every combination having conversations and saying well, this is my perspective. And, this person is like, really, really peppy and positive, but there's a dark side to that, or a traumatic history, and they get to explore that with the other characters, including Byleth is factored into that. It is just really, really layered, and you have to pay attention and really get into it. I will say there's like a romance aspect to the game, which I don't think that like you should be able to romance your former students. Time jump, included or excluded. I just think that's not fun. Even if you are the same age as them, I just think it's really weird. But removing the romance aspect, I do just love, because that's like option. That's an optional route for some of the characters. I do just love that you can really, each time you play, based on like which house or class you choose, but then also within that, like who your character gets closest to and who your character ends up, keeping with them to the end. Because also, what I learned the first time I beat the game, is that based on how close your units are to each other, like your students, they will marry each other in combinations based on that. So like in the end, you get like the final screen. This is the biggest spoiler I'll give in this, but like it will say, well, these 2 characters got married, and these 2 characters got married, and this person lived alone, and it's all based on like how you played the game socially. I mean, the battle strategy factors into it, because if you have units that are near each other and they're fighting the same enemy and they're collaborating on
saving each other, and like
certain team up moves factor into that. But if you do that, it influences the social outcome of everything in the whole game, which is so. I was talking about Mass Effect earlier. Your choices having weight like that is just so appealing to me as a gamer, and like I just highly recommend. It really is hitting me in this fall moment. I played it all day yesterday. I'm going to be honest. It really
that's a good Sunday.
It was a good Sunday. Chill Sunday, just sending kids to war, which gets commented on. And again, that's why I like it, because they say very early in the game, even I'm realizing, because I'm just starting a new playthrough, they get into it and they're like, yeah, I mean, like, is it good? Like what we're doing
What are we
here,
doing here?
like at its base, and also like one of the characters, the last thing actually, but one of the characters who I really liked the first time I played because I chose her house. This is Edelgard. She's like the daughter of the emperor, and she is, to be the next empress of the land. But she has really, really dastardly political goals. As someone that you initially are really sympathetic to, and align yourself with. And this game is how I learned that this game, like, in general, it's just Nintendo. I think of as such a light story thing.
Like company.
I remember when I played that first playthrough, and I was talking to Edelgard, and we had built up like A rank closeness, so we got a cutscene, and she discloses to you, she's like, I'm like the youngest of 7, and like all my older siblings killed themselves, and it's like,
damn,
whoa, like that's so interesting, and then certain things play out, and certain decisions get made, and you have to make decisions based on who lives and dies in this game. Like if you choose who to side with, and then they become your enemy in combat, and you have to kill former students. And it is some real shit. And I just really, really love this game. And I will be playing probably when I get home tonight before bed. Wow. So, highly recommend Fire Emblem Three Houses.
That'll be something once I hit the new year. Because I do love a good turn-based game.
I
love a good like strategy game.
I would be curious for how you feel about the gameplay loop. Because sometimes it drags for sure, especially once you're still figuring out everything. Can I just give you like a Switch cartridge and you play that?
Yeah.
Is that how that works?
Yeah. Yep.
So that we'll get into that at a later game. But
right, sweet.
Yeah, Fire Emblem Three Houses. So
awesome.
That's my rec this week. And that's all I got. Anything you got before?
No, I think those are some good recommendations. Good episode. This is week 5.
Well,
we've been doing this for 5 weeks now.
5 is my favorite number. When I played soccer, my number was 5.
Wow. So that's your favorite number.
Yes.
Wow. Okay. I don't know why.
Do you have a favorite number?
I do. 21. That was my soccer number.
Something about soccer numbers,
I don't know why. Something about a single digit favorite number is wild to me.
What do you mean?
That's why I was like, I had to make sure. Like, are you sure it's 5?
I like that 5 is okay. This is my justification for why I like 5. I like that 5 is an odd number, but it is even.
It's misunderstood.
No, it's
a little odd.
It's odd, but it's even because
in increments of 5 makes sense.
You will always know if something is a duplicate of 5, and I think I'm comforted by that a little bit. Okay, I'm like, I see you in there 5.
Okay.
When I see 155.
No, all right, no. I'm realizing now the reason why I'm judging 5 can easily be used to judge 21. Mm-hmm. But I'm like, there's so many numbers. Like, why is it a single digit number? I'm like, well, then mine's only one more digit than yours. So,
5 is iconic.
That was a good explanation. I like that. That was a good.
Can you stand in the paint for 21? Do you have, aside from the soccer number, is there anything about that?
I can't stand in the paint. I don't think I can. I really don't think I can. I don't know. There's just something about it. I think it's also one of those like cool numbers,
It is.
Like it's like
people anticipate
turning 21. People what's another thing with 21? There's another one.
21 Savage.
Oh yeah, 21 Savage. 21. Is that it right? From
which one?
There's a quote that's like 21.
Is that from 21 Savage, are you saying?
No, it's like a viral video from like 15 years ago.
Listen.
I probably look like a psycho, right? Or like
comment down below if you know what Robbie's referencing.
Yeah, 21 Jump Street.
21 Jump Street.
There you go, because that's the do or die with lucky numbers.
It's
comparing things to a Jonah Hill movie. I can't stand in the paint for 21. I really can't. I just thought it was a cool something about 21 oozes cool to me.
Yeah,
and I don't know what it is.
So maybe it's beyond words, and that's also okay.
It's just a vibe.
That's also fine.
I'm sure there's somebody out. You know how people are like always say like there's a study of when people answer like what colors are related to which numbers, and like there's like a high like majority of people that say like blue is 8 or something like so like there's something to do with like a like a coolness or like a wanting to choose a number of that feels good instead of bad. I'm sure there's a study on that. So
Definitely.
I'm rambling, but
No,
But yeah, episode 5, week 5. Lucky number 5.
Comment your favorite number down below. And
riveting stuff.
No, thank you if you made it to the end of this episode.
Yeah.
Like, comment, subscribe, do all that. We will be back next week, so stay tuned for that.
Hopefully this week we'll boost up our socials more.
Mm-hmm.
Which we need to do.
I gotta really pick the ball.
It's also like we're just. Again, it's week 5. We're trying to get more episodes out.
Yeah.
Doing this and setting this all up and just like being comfortable talking for an hour and a half about topics, I feel like we needed to do first.
Yeah.
I feel like we feel pretty comfortable. So.
I feel like we're really hitting it. So
now we post stuff.
Yeah.
So the more than just a YouTube video. So.
Continue to tune in if you can, and thank you for watching. It's been real. Have a good rest of your night.
See you next week.
Yeah.
Peace.